I'm a member of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, and I first want to say thank you, everybody, for attending this very historic event. It is the 20th, well, we are embarking, tomorrow will be the 20th anniversary of the murder of TyRon Lewis by St. Petersburg police, James Knight and Sandra Minor. 1996, TyRon Lewis was shot on 16th Street, and we have an amazing program tonight to discuss that murder and the uprising that it caused within the African community, and our event tomorrow, which we will be talking later about. But before we begin, I want to start off with our African pledge. So can I please get everyone to stand up and put your right fists in the air? I pledge allegiance to my African people. I pledge to develop my mind and body to the greatest extent possible. I will learn all that I can in order to give my best to my people and our struggle for liberation through revolution. I will keep myself physically fit, building a strong body free from drugs and other substances which weaken me and make me less capable of defending myself, my family, and my African brothers and sisters. I will unselfishly share my knowledge and understanding with others in order to bring about change more quickly. I will discipline myself to direct my energies thoughtfully and constructively rather than wasting time in idle hatred. I will train myself never to hurt or allow others to harm my African brothers and sisters, for I recognize that we need every African man, woman, and child to be physically, mentally, and psychologically strong. These principles I pledge to practice daily and to teach them to others in order to unite my people in the struggle for freedom and independence. Uhuru. All right, so when I say TyRon Lewis, I want you guys to say long live. TyRon Lewis! TyRon Lewis! Uhuru. Uhuru. So first on our agenda, we are going to be watching the Battle of St. Petersburg. Now, of course, the Battle of St. Pete took place in 1996, following the murder of TyRon Lewis and following the attack of the Uhuru House building. The community came out and rose against 300 police officers. Armed resistance is what we saw in our community. But not only that, we saw the work of a real organization, organizational resistance. And that is key to all of our resistance. Everywhere we are, we need organization. And with that organization, we were able to push 300 police officers from different areas of Florida and shot down a helicopter. It wasn't no doctor, no rich lawyer, no, it was the poor and working class African community that night in the streets with their guns, their bottles, their bricks, and they pushed those officers back. The police had pulled the troops back. That's what the African community did right here for TyRon Lewis and to protect the Uhuru movement, which they tried to crush and kill many of our leaders that night. And so this documentary is going to show everything that happened that night. I'm so excited to present to you guys the Battle of St. Pete, Uhuru.
On October 24th, 1996, police shot, killed 20-year-old TyRon Lewis, an African man they had pulled over on a traffic stop. Young TyRon was executed in broad daylight in front of over 100 witnesses just 3 blocks from the Uhuru house.
He was young, he was black, and he was shot for no reason, dog. And that's real. If the man was shot for no reason, we wouldn't be doing all this today. How you think my mom looking at the news now? It could have been me, you know? It could have been me. How you think my mom? I know my mom feel every day that I'm going to get shot or something, you know?
Because of the Uhuru movement's 30-year history of organizing for black rights in St. Petersburg and throughout the country, we were able to provide political leadership and a voice for the demands of the African working class of St. Petersburg, enabling the community to respond powerfully to the police murder of TyRon Lewis through 2 major rebellions and countless direct action mobilizations. Within 1 year of the initial rebellion, the Uhuru movement has forced both the city government and the federal government to respond to the African community's demand for economic development and social justice and taken the struggle for black power to a new level. We in the Uhuru movement believe that this struggle in St. Petersburg is indicative of a growing resistance in African communities throughout this country. We hope that this program will be of value to organizers working to promote black power for the African community.
They murdered TyRon Lewis. It was supposed to be just another day at Africa. That's what it was supposed to be. The state's response to the murder and to the immediate resistance that emerged was typical. But you need to know that the resistance was not typical. What happened in St. Petersburg was incredible for its advanced character. The advanced character of the resistance in St. Petersburg was striking. People all around the country, even with the garbage that was coming to the Chicago Sun-Times. And somebody who wrote that article, somebody showed it to me when I got here, somebody who wrote the article in the Chicago Sun-Times just went into a room someplace and said, why don't we say this? And then wrote something and said, why don't we say, and wrote something because it had no relationship to the real world. But the thing is that people, even through the bourgeois media, were able to see the advanced character of the struggle that happened in St. Petersburg, Florida. And it was advanced because even though there were waves of people in the streets, the thing that was so striking about St. Petersburg wasn't just burning and looting, so to speak, but there were what they like to refer to in this country when they're murdering people in Iraq and other places is there were surgical strikes that saw police precincts, 2 police precincts in the African community destroyed. That saw police cars overtook, burned on the spot. Saw media vehicles burned on the spot. Saw blood-sucking, filthy, parasitic merchants. Many of them been in the community for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Only role they play in the community is come there to pick up money. And as soon as they get it, they stay there long enough to exhaust the supply of money for the day. Then they take the money and leave and come back the next day to get the money. And while people may have thought the masses were sleeping and didn't understand the role of these forces, they did clearly understand their role. And they went to burn to the ground. And it happened so quickly that the ruling class were writing about how that happened and how somebody must have planned it. And somebody must have made it happen like that. And of course, what happened is that the Uhuru movement, in one form or another, has been in St. Petersburg, Florida for 30 years. An unbroken history, 30 years in that same community, an unbroken history. And it has been 30 years of political education, sometimes less effective than others, because the last thing I would want to do is paper over the contradictions in our movement, because there are contradictions which permeate our movement in St. Petersburg and throughout the country. But in St. Petersburg, there was consistent struggle to reach out to the masses. So the people rose up and made a magnificent response to the murder of TyRon Lewis. The response of the state to the murder of TyRon Lewis was never to reprimand the police. There was no intent ever to say the police might have done something wrong, or to say that there were any kind of underlying social contradictions which may have also contributed to the rebellion that occurred on October 24th. The response of the state, of the government, with the help of the ruling class media, was first to slander TyRon Lewis, because you know he did have a criminal record. And he was speaking. And there was some crack we found in the car after he was killed. So that was the first thing they did. Secondly, the response was to isolate and criminalize the Uhuru movement for inciting the rebellion. Never, never, never did they intend to say, well, maybe the police acted improperly. Maybe there are some kind of underlying social contradictions here responsible for the rebellion. Their response was to slander that brother, to isolate and criminalize our movement, and then to indict us, to send us to prison. That was their response immediately. But they were unsuccessful in doing that. They were unsuccessful because we pushed the democratic question successfully.
We're here to say that we're united demanding justice. And when do we want justice?
Right now.
Now. Right. We want the release of our brothers out of those jails. We definitely want the military to move. And that's what it is. It's the military. That's right. We want them out of here now. That's right. We want justice. That's right. That's right.
We found unanimously that both officers, James Knight and Sandra Mount, are guilty of murder. We found, we weren't asked to do this, but we felt it was part of our responsibility, that both officers, James Knight and Sandra Mara, are sentenced to death in the state electric chair. We also found that both Mayor David Fisher and Chief Darrell Stevens are found guilty of murder in that the city's official policy was carried out as an execution on behalf of the city. I was here in Oakland when the rebellion first took place on October 24th after the murder of TyRon Lewis. I didn't get back until October 27th. When I got back on October 27th, all I could see were these news reports on television with soldiers standing on top of a car on October 24th, in the middle of this crowd of people and being identified as the Uhuru movement responsible for inciting what they characterized as the riot. And everything that was being said by the media and officials pointed clearly to the fact that they intended to indict and arrest members of the Uhuru movement. So much so that the state's attorney, who had the responsibility for looking into the shooting of TyRon Lewis that sparked the rebellion, said that not that he was trying to find out if there was anything he could indict the cops who killed Lewis for, but that he was investigating the Uhuru movement. And if there was anything that he could indict us for, he was going to indict us for. This is what he said. We built a coalition coming out of that struggle in the process of making that struggle in St. Petersburg. This coalition was essentially one of the party as representatives of the African working class and various sectors of the African primitive petty bourgeoisie or middle class. And it was this political work that prevented them from being able to kill us or to indict and imprison us on the spot. It was a coalition that came about because the African petty bourgeoisie, after every incident such as the rebellion, wanted to rush down town and ask the ruling class and the government for money for their little social programs. And they like to say, boss, if you give us this money, we can keep the angry masses from rising up again. But they had a problem this time, because the government had already said it was the Uhuru movement that made the people, angry masses, rise up. So how can you promise to keep the angry masses from rising up? In order to be able to make a statement to the government, they had to make an agreement with the Uhuru movement. And our agreement was, we'll back up your demand for money and resources, although we want to give shape and definition to what that should look like. But you got to unite with us that the police who murdered TyRon Lewis must be prosecuted, that the family of TyRon Lewis must be paid reparations for his death, that everybody who was arrested by the government during the rebellion must be freed, and that hands off the Uhuru movement. That's the demand you got to make. And so we won that with them. And as a consequence of winning that, what it meant was now for the government to come to get us, they had to come through the preachers and other sectors of the African petty bourgeoisie who they need to be on their side. And so that made it difficult for them to do. On November 13th, the police used 27 members of a special weapons police organization called the Green Team to arrest, pull over, right at our headquarters, a member of the Uhuru movement, they said, because he had an expired license plate. You know, you usually get a ticket for that, right? They used 27 members of a special weapons organization, 7 carloads, pull him over because of an expired license plate. I'm walking up at the time this is going on. They got the brother in the back seat of the car, handcuffed, searching his car and what have you. And when I walked up, the brother who was with me, they said, we want to put you in jail too. We got a warrant for your arrest. And by now, hundreds of African people are out on the streets because of the police activity. And November 13th was really important because that was the day that the grand jury that was supposedly investigating the shooting of TyRon Lewis and whether the police had committed any crime when they did that, came back, as everybody expected, and exonerated the police. Said police didn't do nothing wrong in killing this brother on that day. So people were already upset about that. So now the police move on our building. Hundreds of people are now out on the streets watching this affair. This is when they rushed to get the brother, to arrest him, they pushed us back against the wall, pepper sprayed me in the face, pepper sprayed Sister Kinara Zima in the face, and arrested the brother. Hundreds of Africans now out on the streets, standing in front of the Uhuru House on both sides of the streets, just watching. The police carrying on, riding up and down in front of the Uhuru House, 5 in a car, guns sticking out of the doors, which are partially open and what have you, and the people just standing there watching them, right up and down, up and down. In the meantime, we had already been putting out leaflets announcing that at our regular 6:30 meeting, we were going to be talking about the verdict that came from the grand jury. At 6 o'clock, the police put up barricades on the streets on both sides of the Uhuru House, turned people around, told them they couldn't come to the meeting. Said, you come to the meeting, we're going to put you in jail or do something worse to you. That was at 6 o'clock. Hundreds of people out on the streets. The police now have begun using pepper spray to try to make people leave the area. Some of the people are running into the auditorium, getting away from the police using pepper spray. About 100 or so people were in the auditorium. Then I'm trying to calm the people down on the inside because of the police antics going on where hundreds of people are still outside. And the brother comes up to me and says, the police have said that over the bullhorn that this is an unlawful assembly and that we've got 5 minutes to get out of the building or they're going to shoot tear gas into the auditorium. They began spraying people at the door of the auditorium with pepper spray, so that they couldn't close the doors. 30 seconds later, after the announcement, they started shooting tear gas into the auditorium. What you got to understand is there were something like 300 policemen outside the building. They didn't just have the St. Petersburg Police Department, they had the Florida Highway Patrol, the Pioneers County Sheriff Department, and police from neighboring cities. 300 or more cops were outside our building. They used all the tear gas that they had in the city of St. Petersburg. They didn't have no more tear gas when they finished shooting tear gas on our building. They used helicopters and they had a small plane, at least one small plane that they used against us. Tear gas coming into the building. There were babies in that building. There were children and women and men in the building, and people are screaming, the women trying to get to their children and take care of them, and trying to get out of the rear of the building. And when they would open the door to the rear, they run into a wall of tear gas because the cops have shot tear gas not only in the auditorium, but everywhere around the building. The people, they were shooting tear gas into a tree behind our building, and it set it afire, the canister set it afire, and threatened the vehicle, a van behind the building, and through that threatened the building itself. And the people in the community would run out and put the fire out, and the police would start the fire again. 3 times that happened. And the people would try to put the fire out. They actually tore a huge branch out of the tree and were dragging it across the street, and the police would shoot tear gas at them to chase them away so that our building, our vehicles and our building could burn down. They were bad that night, 300 of them out there. And then the people rose up and met them with a fierce armed resistance. You understand? You know what I'm saying? Met them with a fierce armed resistance. It was a serious resistance, you understand? Because they intended, first, they failed in their attempt to isolate us politically, criminalize us, and shoot us off the prison. They failed. Then they tried to create a situation where they could provoke something that would allow them to attack us militarily. They were going to win it, get rid of us by a military attack. And when they attacked us militarily, they got their asses kicked by the people right there in the streets. I mean this. You have to understand what happened. It was serious. The people brought down a police helicopter with gunfire, brought it down, forced it down with gunshot. They wounded one cop, shot one cop. And the transcript of a police communication over the radio that appeared in the paper the next day had the commander screaming over the radio, pull the troops back. We're under heavy fire. You understand? We're under heavy fire. Under heavy fire. 300 armed to the teeth, used every bit of tear gas against us that they had in the city. Pull the troops back. We're under heavy fire. And we're talking about the youngsters, they were called the ghost faces. Ghost faces. Because they tied their shirts around their faces and bandanas around their faces and jumped dead in their chest. So, the police never even were able to enter the building. If the crime was being committed, the building wasn't in it. Nobody in the building was arrested. It wasn't about arresting anybody. It was about destruction. They meant to kill, maim on that day. They wanted a military victory, and they got their asses kicked. Serious guerrilla warfare. Serious guerrilla warfare. I mean, as serious as any confrontation that's happened any place in the world. So they lost. The police lost. And because they failed, because they just knew all they had to do was crush the Uhuru movement, then it would be over. It would be just business as usual, but they failed. They were defeated politically, and then they were defeated militarily, and then after that, but it was serious. Because people in the Uhuru movement, we found ourselves sleeping in safe houses. We couldn't stay any place where they knew where we were, because they'd come 4 o'clock in the morning. They'll come 4 o'clock in the morning, they'll kill you dead. You understand? But they made a mistake. They came at 6:30, and the people were awake, and the people were ready for it, and the people kicked their asses. You understand?
On October 24th, there was a murder committed. TyRon Lewis was murdered by 2 officers, Knight and Minor, and the attacks that came after that have continued up until even today. The first attack we saw happen as Bernie McCabe blamed the Uhuru movement for the Jeff Rebellion that happened after the murder. We, the African community, did not want to step over another dead body or have business as usual. So there was a response to this murder, and people acted in a way in which got the attention, worldwide attention. And we, as the Uhuru movement, we represent the poor and African working class, as we have for 30 years, since the Black Revolution of the 60s was defeated with the Black Panther Party, etc. Many of our leaders were assassinated, and many still are in prison today. The Uhuru movement stands and represents the African working class here in this city and all across the country and even across the world. The Uhuru movement held, as we do every week, meetings to allow the African community to voice their opinions on some of the things that had happened. We had a march to the funeral. We also had a trial for the African community to state if the police officers were guilty of murder, and we did come out with a verdict that they were guilty of murder, and that the city of St. Petersburg was also guilty of the policy of shoot to kill, and that the so-called keep the niggas in check way that the police act in our community is totally in violation of our constitutional rights. On November 13th, the verdict came out, and a member of the Uhuru movement was arrested. 27 members of the Green Team came to the building and purposely tried to invoke provocation, and another member of the Uhuru movement was arrested. I myself and the chairman and founder of the Uhuru movement was sprayed with pepper spray, and 100 or so people came out of their homes. We have meetings every Wednesday evening, and that happened to be a Wednesday, where we were going to have a forum. That night, as people were coming to the meeting, police started barricading the streets, blocking all intersections to the building, denying people access to the building, saying that they would be arrested if they came to our meeting. They also pepper sprayed people and shot tear gas. All of the tear gas they had in the city of St. Petersburg went toward our building. People who were in the room were children, men and women who were terrified. As the meeting started, the police officers who were in force with M16s, riot gear, started on the outside shooting tear gas. They had on the loudspeaker, we declare this an unlawful assembly, and if you don't get out of the building in 5 minutes, we will gas the building. Within 30 seconds, they started gassing the building. There was total chaos in the building. Some of the people who were in our meeting are in this room. Total chaos, stampede. A sister who I know right here was trampled. People with their children throwing up, sick, etc. They intended to kill us that night. And if it wasn't for the courageous brothers and sisters who stood up after the murder of TyRon Lewis, I wouldn't be here today, and many people in this room would not be here, because they intended to kill us on that night of November 13th. All of the tear gas I mentioned, which they said in all the newspapers and radios, was used on our building that night. Our constitutional rights were violated, our freedom of speech, our freedom of assembly, and the mayor and chief of police stated earlier that day that they did not want members of the Uhuru movement on the streets, precisely because the verdict was coming out, and that they didn't want us to say something that they didn't like. Police tried to burn down our buildings by shooting tear gas into a tree. When members of the community would put out the fire, they were shot at with the tear gas, and the tree was set on fire 3 times. The tree was next to our van, and the van next to our building. There was later an incident where someone came and said that our building would be, there would be a sweep at our building at 6 o'clock. So from that night, October 24th, until even today, the whole black community has been under martial law. Said that they stand with the Uhuru movement, know that the Uhuru movement has been under attack, and we demand that this attack stops. We are standing up on behalf of our people.
For another round of applause. TyRon Lewis, long live. TyRon Lewis, touch one, touch one. I felt it very important to say that, especially because we have a very special guest here today with us. And what we saw in this video, we are seeing it in modern day, but it's not some new phenomena of African people being murdered by the police and African people rising up. All the way from St. Louis, Missouri, she was on the battlegrounds in Ferguson, and she is here with us today. She is the president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, and it is my profound honor to bring up here President Kalambai Uhuru.
Uhuru, Uhuru. I just want to first and foremost salute the family of TyRon Lewis that are here, Junior and his sister and his mother, I believe. I just want to salute you and the whole movement. I just really happy that I get to be here on the 20th anniversary. Like Akile said, my name is Kalambai, and I'm from St. Louis. And at the time of when Mike Brown was murdered, I was a resident of Ferguson, and I was out there trying to figure out what the hell was going on in my community. and seeing my city go up, and I was very confused, not knowing what happened. And then I met the Uhuru movement. Chairman Amali Yeshitela and other forces came to Ferguson. And the difference that I see, because I don't watch the Battle of St. Pete several times, and it's a significant difference that I would like to just talk on. The difference is it had a political undertone here in St. Pete, because it had the Uhuru movement, and the people here knew about the Uhuru movement. So it was organized on the ground, and the people knew about Uhuru. They knew that Uhuru means freedom, and they knew what to do, and they knew where to go. And they had somebody to fight fiercely for the people that had got arrested, and really sum it up and show them what it meant to fight. And we didn't have that in Ferguson. And so in Ferguson, you know, it wasn't really, we didn't have Uhuru on the grounds in Ferguson when it happened. A lot of organizations came, and I seen a lot, and I joined some of them trying to figure it out, but they just didn't explain to me or help me understand exactly how we were going to stop it, until I met the Uhuru movement, that was really helping me understand words like colonialism, and helping me understand that Mike Brown wasn't something new. The difference of why I feel, or not even just me, but the chairman says that, you know, when Ferguson happened, we had social media, we had Facebook, where stuff went viral real quickly. And that's how people knew what happened in Ferguson. We didn't have that in St. Pete. And it's a reason why they didn't want us to know that it happened here in St. Pete. And it's important that what the Uhuru movement has here, it's important that the whole community, no matter where we at, we continue to build. The Burning Spear and Agitprop is so important, because that's our media. You know, that's our media source to be able to get out the true story. So even people that's watching right now, I was just watching on Facebook, the people that's watching this right now, to know about the Battle of St. Pete and what happened, and what happens when you have organization on the grounds. For so long, it was like, I don't have, Chairman would talk about it more, you know, no African had, the horizontal violence had went down tremendously after the Battle of St. Pete. And I even, one time I was in St. Pete, I got to meet, I believe he was the chief of police or something. And he said that, you know, people thought that he was a Uhuru, you know, because people knew that once you hit this ground, this was like holy grounds for African people. And that's something beautiful. In Ferguson right now, we are on the grounds in a real way, the Uhuru movement. And I'm so happy, because a lot of the organizations have, you know, pharaohs and all these different people have dumped so much money into the movement to change the narrative that would never speaks to the liberation of African people. And so we have to have not only organization, but it has to be something really that's speaking to what end. And we have a lot of different people that look real militant, that says a lot of different radical stuff. We have organizations that run around, as the chairman was pointing out today, with guns, and I've seen them in Ferguson, but it don't speak to, like, how are we actually really going to get free, you know? And Black community control of the police speaks to that. It speaks to how we can stop the police from killing us, and not only police killing us, all the crime in our community. Because a lot of times people say, oh, you put a lot of emphasis on the police killing, but what about the other stuff? Well, I'm here to say that Black community control of the police stops it all. It gives us the power to say what our community should look like. And so that's what we're saying. We're saying that we want the power to control what comes into our community and what leaves out of our community. And right now we don't have that. And so that's why we see the corrupt, and we see all the different things. So I am really happy to be here to celebrate this. This is a real celebration. This is a real holiday. We have a lot of fake holidays that's coming up. That means that, you know, when I got stolen from Africa, and when they stole the indigenous people land, and people get turkeys and celebrate real fat and good. But this is something that we should fill up the house. This is something that you should share right now. Again, if you shared it once, share it again, and, you know, put something on the top of it when you share it on your Facebook page, and let people know that they can't just donate to any organization, but they have to donate to an organization that's been on the grounds, that's been fighting fiercely for African people for over 20 years. Because even before TyRon Lewis was murdered, the Hoover movement was here on the grounds raging war against the police and the pigs in our community. And so we have to continue to struggle for liberation. And it's time for us to struggle and fight fiercely for Black community control of the police. And if you haven't signed up to go to this significant, important convention that never been done before for African people, well, it was done, but it was sabotage. But this time it won't be. The Black is Back is having a convention November the 5th and 6th in Washington, D.C. And this is important. Comrades, brothers and sisters, it's so important for you to, if you got to not pay up, whatever you got to do to get there, it's so important for you to stand up there and let the Democrats and Republicans know I am not bamboozled and I am not confused. But we have our own 19 points that we are going to push, and we're going to decide how we're going to make it a reality. So comrades, please, if you haven't signed up, get signed up, because everything we do is to what end? And we haven't got free yet. We're still dying. So we have to continue to push and fight and struggle and make it happen. Uhuru.
Uhuru. I really want to appreciate President Kalambai for that presentation and the significance of her being from St. Louis, and connecting the struggle from St. Louis to St. Pete, from Baltimore to St. Pete, everywhere we are where we are being murdered, it is the same conditions. It is still the same enemy. It's the same problem. And none of these are isolated cases. And it's time for us to recognize that so we can all fight the enemy together and not be confused about who the enemy is, and to recognize that when they do touch one, when they touch TyRon Lewis, they touched an entire community that day, and that's what the community said. That was what the response was, is you touched an entire community that day. Wow. All right. And I also, this is, my first time. Well, I met his sister a few times, Deanne Lewis, and it is, again, another profound honor to be able to introduce these forces up here to speak today. TyRon Lewis Jr., the son of TyRon Lewis, Deanne Lewis, his sister, and Pam Lewis, his mother. And on behalf of the Uhuru movement, very appreciative of you guys coming out to this event and speaking to the community about what has happened, and 20 years later, how we have not let up and how we still continue to fight today. So again, I want everybody to put their hands together for these three courageous people. Uhuru. Tempa? Sorry. Uhuru, sorry about that. Okay, so first, TyRon Lewis Jr. Uhuru.
Yo. On October 24th, 1996, two St. Petersburg Police Department cops stopped 18-year-old TyRon Lewis Sr., an associate, for what the police claimed was a traffic violation. After TyRon stopped, the police say they ordered him to get out the car. Before he could exit the car, some 42 witnesses saw James Knight shoot TyRon twice, once in the hand, and once in the heart. The African community rebelled in outrage of the brutal execution that occurred 2 blocks from the Uhuru House. Every day, African American life is taken away due to police brutality. This has to stop. We are losing our brothers and sisters to people who are supposed to protect and serve our community, not kill us. My father means a lot to me and my family. To see him gone hurts a lot, but at the same time, it motivates me to grind harder and make myself a better man and try harder in life. I thank each and everyone for coming out to this historic event. I thank the Yuru and my family for having me down here to participate in this historic event. Yuru.
Deanne, Uhuru.
It's been 20 years, 20. When we was growing up, I never thought that my brother would be taken away from us. We were close, really close. And I just want to thank Chairman and the Uhuru movement for everything, the fight, the voice, even when my family did not want to really get involved because they were afraid of the gossip about the movement. And like I always said, when I seen you on TV, I said, that man don't even know us, but he is standing up for my brother on BET. I was living in Daytona when I saw you on TV. And just to meet you and to learn from you and just to know that the movement really cares about us, Black people, is good. And like I've always said, if we do nothing, we are nothing. And I'm gonna always keep my brother's name alive no matter what, because I believe one day we will get justice. No matter how we get it, we're gonna get it. Because I have the frame of mind. I don't like to see my mama hurt. My mom is hurt. My mama she couldn't even come today. I'm like, can you at least come tomorrow? We got something special. So she will make it here tomorrow. But like I told her, if I would have been here, she would have been burying 2 of her kids because I ride with my brother. I would have died with my brother. You heard me?
Tacho! Tacho! Uhuru. TyRon Lewis. TyRon Lewis. Uhuru. And now I want to bring up, I want to bring up the leader of our organization, the voice, the man who has taught us everything, that has provided us the political leadership, the organizational leadership. The only reason we were able to be there and politicize and understand what we were going through, the only reason we were able to fight with an objective. I want to bring up the Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Uhuru.
Uhuru. I want to join everybody in appreciating the presence here of TyRon Lewis's family. And that's the first time I've never heard Deanne Lewis talk that much. I've known Deanne Lewis for 20 years, And I get to stand up and I say, well, you're gonna say something? No. What you want me to say? I really appreciate you. I appreciate your having been here and the courage that it's taken for you also. Because the murder of TyRon Lewis was not just something that was directed at one individual. It's the way that the white people's organization of oppression helps us to understand that we shouldn't get out of line. Anything that they have the ability to kill us with impunity or to do anything to us. And that was, as we understand, 20 years ago. So I want to express real appreciation for your being here. Because TyRon Lewis was your brother, but he was our brother too. He was Tyron Jr.'s daddy, but he was our brother also when they gunned him down. And we were clear about that, and we continue to be clear about that. So I think it's important that I just say a few words. One is that TyRon Lewis is all of us. And I've understood for a very long time the humiliation that is imposed on Black people here and around the world. White people, white power, they have the power, and they've treated us in absolute humiliation for more than 400 years. 600 years ago, they came and kidnapped us from Africa. TyRon Lewis died on 18th Avenue South and 16th Street. in St. Petersburg, Florida, a land that is not, we're not indigenous to St. Petersburg or to this land that they call America, and white people aren't either. Then TyRon Lewis, they were able to murder TyRon Lewis because somebody came to Africa and kidnapped us. That's how he happened to be on the streets, and that's something that's really important for us to understand, and that's something that we try to teach and educate African people about throughout this entire struggle. Not only is this not only are we not indigenous to this land, the people who are indigenous to this land are in concentration camps that they call Indian reservations. This is the America that we grew up in. And TyRon Lewis died in this country under these circumstances. Why wouldn't they kill TyRon Lewis? They've killed almost all of the traditional owners of the land, the custodians of the land. They killed all of the native people. Why wouldn't they kill you? They came and kidnapped and killed and murdered and loot all over the continent of Africa and brought us here. Why wouldn't they kill TyRon Lewis? And why won't they kill your child or your brother, your sister? Why won't they do it tomorrow if they haven't already done it? Because that's the kind of society, the kind of country that we live in. It's a country, a society that was made rich as a consequence of enslaving and impoverishing African people and oppressed people around the world. That's the nature of the beast. And that doesn't change regardless of Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or any other person. It's the same country. And you will not find freedom by voting for Hillary or running from Trump. That's not the solution. So here we are 20 years later, and this was an incredible struggle. When I went into Ferguson in August of 2014, I had already been there here in 1996, in October and November of 1996. And in fact, as Sister Colombaye, President Colombaye has just said, the struggle here was much more intense than what happened in Ferguson. Much more intense here than what happened in Ferguson. Much clearer in what the objectives were than what happened in Ferguson. Because we were not just going to let them limit the discussion to the murder of an individual. It's the oppression and exploitation of an entire people that we have to deal with. We said we're tired of a public policy of police containment. And that's what you have in this country. A public policy of police containment. When I say it's public policy, everybody who runs for office runs against black people. They're going to put more prison, more police, etc., to deal with us. It's a public policy. People vote on it. They vote on oppressing black people. Every time you see a politician run and say, well, we got to get more cops to deal with crime, they are voting for that politician and they're voting for the oppression of black people. It's a public policy. It's not even a secret. Like some people said they hid it from a lot of the world when they were killing Jews in Germany. It's no secret here. They vote on it. Every time there's an election, they vote on killing and arresting African people, throwing us into prisons and what have you. So we say we oppose to a public policy of police containment. We want to see a public policy of economic development. Our people need to be able to live. If you can't feed, clothe, and house yourself, you're a slave. You're living in slavery. If you cannot feed, clothe, and house yourself, you're living as a slave. And the ones who feed, clothe, and house you will control you, whether they're standing there with a gun or not. They don't have to have a gun. All they have to do is deny you a pork chop. They don't have to have a gun. They're the ones to say whether you can have housing or not, and if you have housing, how much it's going to cost, when you can get it, if you can get it. But they know that if they just do this, that you will rise up. And this is what makes guns necessary in this relationship. And then they bring the guns because they want to frighten you so that you won't rise up, so that you won't fight for yourself. You won't fight for your children. There were people who were killed right here in this city. And like TyRon Lewis, even after TyRon Lewis, people who on one case, they actually broke into the house while the young man was sleeping with his 2-year-old child in another room. They threw a flashbang grenade into the house, busted into the house, and shot him in the back as he lay sleeping, as he was trying to rise up, gunned him in the back. We try to build movements, and oftentimes people don't come out. You know why they don't come out? Not just because they don't agree, but because they got records. Because the police is giving every damn body a record. Everybody is on paper. They know everybody in our communities. So if they stand up, they're afraid the police gonna see them, the parole officer, a probation officer gonna hear about it or something to that effect, and they stuff them back in the jail system. This is what's happening to African people in this country, and I don't like it, and you don't like it either. So we have to do something about it. And we have to use the anniversary of the murder of TyRon Lewis to do something about it. We have to join a revolutionary movement. We have to join the movement, the Uhuru movement, to demand total freedom. We have to say that we will not live. We will not willingly live while somebody else is in control of our lives. We have to say that I am determined that my child will have a future, not because the white man lets him have it, because we take control of that future ourselves. We have to join the Uhuru movement. That's the responsibility, because you don't know when they're coming for you. You don't know if they're coming for your child tomorrow or not. Why do we have to wait till somebody dies before we rise up? The working class, African poor people, working class, need to be in a state of constant and permanent organization to overturn this relationship that we have with white power. So, TyRon Lewis wasn't in the movement. He was an African brother. I had never met him, but I knew him. Never met his mama, but I knew her. Never met Deanne, but I knew her because she was mine. She's in my community. She was flesh of my flesh. And that's the stance that we have to take. That's the stance that we have to take. And everybody has a responsibility, because we see everybody after the funeral. They come to this building right here, to the Uhuru House. We see everybody who the police has murdered, their family comes right here. Because the NAACP is not going to do anything for you or with you or try to bring any justice. Everybody, when the final decision is made, when they've gone through everything else, it's the Uhuru House. All roads lead to Uhuru. All roads lead to Uhuru. And so, why wait? Join the revolutionary movement now. Like we say, we don't know when they're coming. You don't know if they're going to come for you, and if they are, when they're going to come for you. So I want to say that we thought this murder of TyRon Lewis was extremely important. We thought the rebellion, this is one thing I love about the African community here. This community will fight. They might not come to a damn meeting, but they will damn sure fight. This community will fight. This community will dig in and fight. I want to just share a couple of things with you that many people don't know. And because, you know, they always blamed us for the rebellions. The Uhuru started, et cetera, et cetera. I say James Knight started it. Sandra, I say the people who killed TyRon Lewis are the ones who started the rebellion. And if we shot back, if somebody shoots at you and you shoot back, don't say that we started it, right? If somebody kidnapped you and got you into slavery, got your mama into slavery, to have said to you that your child cannot know a future as long as they live under this system, don't say I started it, you started it. You started it 600 years ago, you started it. That's what we have to have the ability to say. They can't punk me out by saying all police ain't bad. Well, all police shouldn't be police. If you police, you bad. That's your job, to be bad. You don't join the police department to pass out Bibles. And so, so they say we started it, but I want to just share this with you. Because they started arresting us because we were exposing what they were doing. We had already been exposing. That's why when TyRon Lewis was killed, people never come to a meeting. They rushed right here to the Uhuru House when TyRon Lewis was killed. And because they wanted the political leadership, because they knew we had the political leadership, because we're out there all the time, passing out flyers, selling the Burning Spear newspaper, communicating with our people, trying to help people understand what is the nature of the oppression. So they came here to the Uhuru House. And then right there right on 18th Avenue, you saw some of the footage right here. The people came out, and I've read some of the transcripts, depositions that were given, because the family tried to sue the city of St. Petersburg for the murder of TyRon Lewis. And that's where they killed him again, at that trial. They murdered him again. They slandered his family. They slandered the boy who was 1 year old when his daddy was murdered and taken away from him, guaranteeing that he would not have a future. And I read some of the transcripts. And one of they had the chief of police who had been deposed. And he was saying that after TyRon Lewis was gunned down in the middle of this huge crowd of people, that the crowd had gathered and the people were really upset. And the chief of police himself brought himself out to the site. And he was on the bullhorn trying to say something to the people, and the people were telling him, up yours, and, hunky, get out of here, and, we mess you up, and et cetera, murderers. And so there's one African who was gonna try to help the police. He said, give me the microphone, I can talk to him. And then he started talking that same talk, and they said, up yours. You understand? And they said, we'll mess you up too, and so when they started saying that, then hell, he said, he joined us. He joined the people then and started talking about the police, right? And what the police doing. And so the police chief had to wrestle the bullhorn from him. The people were really upset at that time. And what you saw was a rebellion where the people rose up, and it was not just some random so-called burning and looting. People destroyed 2 police precincts. The people did. People burned down a liquor store down on 22nd Street and 18th Avenue. They attacked this bad cop, a furniture store that's been looting this community now for I don't know how many years. I was a child and they were looting this community. Sell you furniture on time, quote unquote, and just about the time before you pay for it, that stuff falls apart and what have you. That's how they built that company of black people and what have you. So Africans burn that down too, because even though we don't always act on it, the moment we get an opportunity, you will see what happens. And so the people rose up. And then we organized on the day after, demonstration at the police station around TyRon Lewis. You saw the footage of that, where people were marching on the police station. We had vigils here. When the funeral happened with TyRon Lewis, a little Uncle Tom preacher, I can't think of his name now, but they had the funeral inside and we had one outside the funeral home. That's what the Uhuru movement did, to keep the revolutionary perspective of the people alive, so that people wouldn't go for that old okie-dokie, chicken-eating, boot-licking preacher kind of talk, right? And unite with the aspirations of the people, who people want to make resistance. People want somebody to pay a price. They've just took a life in our community. And so then we put the chief of police and we put the people who murdered on trial. When you saw those people standing up and say, we find them guilty, that was right here in this place right here. And then on November 13th, we had already predicted that the grand jury was going to exonerate the police, that they were not going to find them guilty of anything. And they knew we had predicted. They knew that we had also called on people to come to the regular Wednesday meeting so we can talk about that. And so the grand jury came out surely and said that the police didn't do anything wrong in murdering that boy. TyRon Lewis was 18 years old. Look, the baby fat was still in his face. You understand? He was just a youngster. His son sitting here, 21 years old, is older than his daddy was when they murdered his daddy. And that should be enough to upset anybody. And so they came here, and his son never got a chance to know him. Never got a chance to know his daddy. And so they started arresting people from the Uhuru house. They sent a SWAT team to arrest somebody right out here, right outside the Uhuru house. They said because he had expired license plate. 27 cops for that. They pepper sprayed me. They arrested the comrade who was working as my security, and then they clowned out here. And the people rose up and engage them in a serious struggle, a righteous rebellion, because this is St. Petersburg, Florida, right? And I'm not saying anything about the glory of the city. I'm talking about the population here that has a history, a long history of resistance and political education as a consequence of the party's presence here all this time. And so when the rebellion started, they attacked when they attacked this building. Some of the members of the Uhuru movement were outside the building and they couldn't get in. And they tried to get in, and the police would shoot tear gas. They would use pepper spray to keep them from coming into this building. They kept them from coming in. So even though I was trapped in here, Chimaranga was trapped in here, and there were some others of the leadership trapped in this building, they made the mistake of not letting the other people in the building. And those people who they didn't let in the building were left outside to provide leadership for the resistance that was happening outside of the building. And so in St. Petersburg, Florida, when they attacked this building, and they tried to set this building afire, and they tried to kill the leadership of this organization, but there were masses of people outside the building who had leadership. And they were able to shoot down a helicopter and to actually shoot back at the police. The police are not used to somebody shooting back. They're just used to shooting at you. They're not, but you saw the video. You saw that video. You saw how frightened those cops were when they were standing there huddling together when people were resisting. You saw them trembling and whatever. You saw them running, literally running, trying to get away. When the people resist, that's how they act. So that was a serious kind of struggle. And then we made this demand for economic development. We had bankers and financiers come right down the street here at Enoch Davis, that old sellout Enoch Davis, the center name for him, to talk about how the money your money that the banks use, they won't allow you a business loan. But the money that your preacher takes every Monday to the bank, that's your money. And the preacher puts it in the bank. And the bank uses your money. And then it loans it to other people who make money off your money. And the bank makes money off the money that they loan to other people. You can't get a business loan, but they get the money. You go to the mall. The mall take the money you spend there and they put it in the bank. And the bank use the money that you spent at the mall. They use that money to make money with it. You got your own little account. You take it to the bank. The bank use your money and they make money with it, but you can't get a business loan. You go trying to get a business loan, they tell you, well, your credit ain't good. Well, hell, I didn't make it bad. I mean, how did it get bad? You understand? And you don't have good enough credit and this kind of stuff. But they take your money and make money with it. And you got these old lick-spittle people who are supposed to be your leaders who will not stand up and fight for it. They want you to fight to make white people like you. And I know how to make white people like you. And it's not kissing their butts. It's locking and loading, so to speak. So TyRon Lewis was a really, ain't that right, Sister Mary? I'm talking to a locker and loader. So you don't have to wait till it happens to your family. Because if you live in America long enough, something's gonna happen. They killed this brother, young brother, what's his name? They shot him 5 times in the back. The sheriff department said he had a gun. Alton Richards shot him 5 times in the back, said he was aiming a gun at them. He must have been shooting over his shoulder. Shot him 5 times in the back. And they don't have to come up with a good explanation. They kill you, and that's it. And so TyRon Lewis was an incredible happening. It was brutal for the family and for this community. But what you saw was it started a whole new era of resistance and struggle. We say we will not allow them to use this as just another piece of dead meat, like they tried to do with Mike Brown. They left Mike Brown in Ferguson on August 9th, 2014. They left him lying in the street for 4.5 hours on a 100+ degree weather on the asphalt, just rotting there. That's a man. That's an African human being. That's my brother, your brother that they had there. And then they're going to kill TyRon Lewis, and he's just going to be another piece of dead meat. And that's how they treat us. And we say it's not going to happen that way. We had an event. We forced them to create what we call an African festival market. And at that market, the mayor showed up. We invited the mayor to show him, put his butt down on the platform. And then when we put him on the platform, we brought TyRon Lewis' mama that sat her right next to the mayor on the platform. And then what we did is we had raised some money in the Uhuru movement. And we announced to the crowd who had come there for this festival market, the mayor, they haven't done anything. We said, we are awarding this money to Pamela Lewis, TyRon Lewis' mama. And the mayor had to sit there and participate in this ceremony that we provided to honor TyRon Lewis. He's not going to be treated just like a piece of dead meat. He's not going to be treated like a piece of dead meat. And then we got in a struggle with the city of St. Petersburg because they take money in your name every year. They take money from the federal government. It's called Community Development Block Grant money. And the federal government gives every city in this country community development block grant money that's based on the poverty in the community. And so they will use the statistics of your poverty, collect this money from the federal government, and then give it to white people. Did you hear what I just said? Give it to white people. They gave it to CASA, the battered women's shelter, white women's shelter. They gave it to the Hilton Hotel. They gave it money for the Dome, but never had an African ever got that money. I didn't want the damn money. We didn't need the money. But the African middle-class Negroes said that they think they're capitalists and they needed that money. So we said, okay, we'll fight to get the money. And when there was an opportunity, we forced the city to give us some community development block grant money that we put in the gym. We didn't need it. We bought that building in the gym. By the way, we bought that. Just like we bought this. I've heard rumors that these sellout lick-spelled Negroes say that somehow this was a payoff, that the government paid us off, and that's how this. No, we bought this building, and we still owe several $100,000 on it. So if y'all want to contribute to that, you can do that. But this is our building. That means it's your building. So nobody gave us this building to shut us up because they haven't succeeded in doing that. So we got the community development block grant money, and then they said, well, you can't call the gym because the gym was here. When the gym was here, it was bigger. We had more equipment, etc. But we had bought that building on night. And said, well, let's put the gym over there. So we got the community development block grant money. And they said, okay, we can use it to get some new equipment. Okay, well, we can do some renovation. Okay, we did that. But you can't call it Uhuru's Black Gym of our own. That's what this was called. White people, the boss said, you cannot call this Uhuru's Black Gym of our own. They said, niggas, if you get our money, we gonna run it. It's not gonna be Uhuru's Black Gym of our own. Because if you said it's Uhuru's Black Gym of our own, it means I can't come there. That's what the white man said to me. I said, I didn't know that you were just trying to find a gym in the black community to show up to. You should have told me, boss. They said, no, you can't name it that. I said, well, if we name it something like Martin Luther King Gym, would that be all right? They said, yeah, name it Martin Luther King Gym. Something like that, something like that. I said, okay, we're going to call it the TyRon Lewis All People's Community Gym. Can you live with that? Can you live with that? And that's how it got to be the All People's TyRon Lewis Community Gym. He's not going to be a piece of dead meat. That's not going to happen. And we remember him, and we'll never let them forget him. That's what our responsibility is. So I want to say that, and finally, I want to mention to you, for anybody who has any doubt that the execution of TyRon Lewis was murder, what you need to do is go back and look at the St. Petersburg Times article on the first anniversary of the murder of TyRon Lewis, and they knew it all the time. And they wrote an article because, you know, the police claimed that they murdered TyRon Lewis because James Knight said that TyRon Lewis drove the car and it ran into him on his knees and knocked him up on the hood. Remember that? Some of you don't remember because 20 years ago you barely here. But that's what they said. And the St. Petersburg Times wrote an article that said that James Knight was wearing short pants when that happened. They photographed his legs. There was no bruise. You know how white people bruise up when you touch them, you understand? There's no indication of anything. And they said his fingerprints were not up on the hood of the car. Said the only place his fingerprint was on the front of the car, right on the front of the car, where he stood there. He lied. The St. Petersburg Times knew he lied. This was information they had all that time, and they just talked about it on the year's anniversary of his assassination. That's when they put that forward. So it was clear they knew. And I just want to say that we all have a personal responsibility for our freedom. And you, in this room, African working class people, have a greater responsibility than anybody. Because you've handed over that responsibility to those Uncle Toms. You let the NAACP claim to speak for you. You let all of these big shot lawyers and preachers claim they speak for you. Because you refuse to be organized and you refuse to take responsibility for our own freedom. And that has to change. And this is a call on this anniversary of the execution, the police murder of TyRon Lewis, for everybody here to step forward and join this movement for freedom for our people so that we don't have any more TyRon Lewises, any more Mike Browns, any more Tamir Rice, any more of these Africans who they gun down throughout this country on a daily basis so that black people can be free, so that African people can feed, clothe, and house ourselves, so that we can be self-governing, because that's what this movement is about, self-government, building a capacity for us to govern ourselves. I want to thank the family of TyRon Lewis. I really appreciate you. I haven't had an opportunity to meet TyRon Jr., to know him like I've known Deanne and Pamela and some of the other members of the family, and I'm glad that's happening. I also want to say that there is a fund that was created years ago as a consequence of this struggle for a scholarship for TyRon Lewis Jr. And the former mayor, Rick Baker, and the former chief of police, Goliath Davis, are connected to that. In fact, they called me, Goliath Davis, was that a year or so ago? They asked me how to get in touch with you, TyRon Lewis, so that they could make this money available to you. It makes my flesh crawl in some ways, but in other ways, I want you to be able to have access to the full scholarship. It says the full scholarship. It's not just some little thing that pays for the books or something like that. And I want you to have access to that. So give them a call. Give them a call. And they felt it necessary to do that because the struggle that we were making. I also want to say this. You know, there's a real big formal thing that you're supposed to go through if you want to change the name of a street. And you go down there to the same government that let a mural hang there on the wall that showed black people looking like apes, and that justified the murder. The same city that justified the murder of TyRon Lewis, the same city that criticized the police department because they didn't have enough, they used all the tear gas and they were not effective in destroying us. That same city, that's who we're supposed to go to and ask for them, boss, will y'all let us change the name of this city, 18th Avenue, to TyRon Lewis. But we think the name of the avenue should be changed. And so we're gonna have a formal process of our own without asking anybody to rename this street, rename this avenue. and we're going to rename it the TyRon Lewis Avenue. We've got the street sign already made. We got the street sign already made. He's not going to be a piece of dead meat. And our responsibility is to put it there and to protect it. I can tell you right now that the city is going to try to do something to move it, etc. But I think we have a responsibility to put it there and to win this community recognition of that this is the new name of this avenue is TyRon Lewis. TyRon Lewis Avenue, 18th Avenue, Tangerine, that stuff is gone. That's what we plan to do on tomorrow. So I'm hoping that everybody will come out and participate in it, get everybody you know to come out. What's going to be critically important is all of the people in the government knows that the African community is down with this, that we in our community, if your preacher might not be down with it, your NAACP, I know they're not down with it, but you got to be down with it. And that means you got to bring other people like you out. Because if you don't bring other people like you out, the NAACP will continue to speak for you in your name. So that's what we will be making happen on tomorrow. I just want to express my appreciation. Again, I recognize the sacrifice that this family has paid. I also recognize the solidarity that this community has expressed with the family. This African community here stood up and fought for your family, for your father, your brother, for our brother, TyRon Lewis, and we are going to continue making that struggle. Thank you so much. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you, Chairman. And now, the Chairman said it a lot in his presentation, kind of did the work for me almost. I wish I had the basket when he was saying it. But, you know, everything that he said, you know, the gym was paid by the poor and working class African community. This building was built by the poor and working class African community. Everything that we have, everything that we've been able to accomplish, all your money you can see goes into the work that is done for you, the poor and working class. We're not an organization in St. Louis that got tons of money poured into it and was able to ride off the backs of our tragedy, and who knows where they are now. But the Uhuru movement has constantly provided institutions, economic development for this community because the city has turned their backs, and we don't expect anything from the city. We don't expect anything from the Democratic and Republican Party. We don't expect anything because we understand that the poor and working class have to lead our struggle. The poor and working class are going to make it happen. They have made all the work that we have done happen, and you guys have to make it happen today. So we are going to pass this basket around. You guys contribute to an organization that is here doing the work for you. Our goal is $200 tonight. You've seen the work that we're doing, putting that sign up on 18th Avenue for TyRon Lewis Avenue. That is the work of the poor and working class. So it is time to put your resources towards an organization that is working in your interests. And the chairman also said that we have a responsibility now. We have a responsibility to fight for our freedom. We cannot turn our backs. Once we receive even an inkling of an understanding of our conditions, once we get even just a little bit of an understanding of what it means, why our existence is the way it is, why we get shot and killed, why are we poor, why can't we educate our children properly, everything that happens to us, once we even begin to understand it, we have a responsibility to teach that to somebody else and to teach that to their children and their children so our children can have a future. So everybody in this room, everybody outside in the African community can fight for their future, can fight for freedom, because the only way that this will end, for true total liberation, that is the only way that this can end. So you have a responsibility to join an organization that is planning to do exactly that. So I'm saying everybody here today, if you are not a member of InPDUM, you need to become a member today. It is your duty, your responsibility, and you can make that happen here today. It's easy. It's clicking a button. You sign up right there at InPDUM. I am also the membership coordinator for InPDUM. I'm be so excited to sign you guys up. And for those online who tune in every Sunday who are witnessing this, if you are not a member of InPDUM, you need to go to InPDUM.org. That's INPDUM.org and join this organization to bring the name of TyRon Lewis, to bring the name of every slain African by the state, to bring and to uphold every African, to fight for every African, to fight for Africa and all of her children. So everybody in here today, that needs to be your responsibility. You need to leave here today as a member of InPDUM. Uhuru. I'm sorry? Oh, the basic membership is $35. You can become a sustaining level membership and pay a membership, pay your membership due every month. The lowest is $5 a month. That's some people's coffee every single day, $5 a month. For students, we have a $10 annual fee. That's not too much for all the students in the room or anybody who has a hard time. We got those prices for you so you can come a member and support your organization. So again, our basic level is $35. We have sustaining memberships. We can go over at the table. And for those who are online, when you click on memberships, drop down bar, you'll see all the different levels you can be and which one that you're willing to contribute at. So Uhuru. And now I want to open it up because the community should have something to say. There has been powerful presentations, but this is a time for people who, experienced that night. For anyone who has any questions, concerns about the community, this is a time for the community to raise their voices and to speak because we care about what you say. We are here. We work in the interest of you, so we need to know what's going on with you, what's happening in the community. We're always out here every single day reaching the people, and this is not a separate event. This is a public event for the community to come out. So anybody have anything to say about this event, anything that happened? Uhuru and Nico. Go to the podium.
Uhuru. I wasn't born when this happened, but now I see like a lot of resistance towards law enforcement and all that. But I just want to know how it felt at that moment for a complete unison between the African poor working class, everyone was standing up. I just want to know how it felt.
Do you want to say something, Chairman?
I want to see if there's somebody else who was here when this rebellion happened in St. Petersburg.
I have not. Oh, okay.
Uhuru. I would like to say, I'm sorry I ain't been here for a couple of weeks, but I was busy when Chairman told me for TyRon Lewis. I definitely was going to make that right there. But I was here during that time. Really is. When it started. And also, something I really like to say. A week before they killed TyRon Lewis, they killed a brother named Ulysses Rhodes. I remember that right there. I went and talked to his family. They just murder us down. They really do. Open season. And these old preachers around here, they call them preachers, them slave teachers, That's what they really are. They don't love us. They just love to do their work of their masters. That we might well face the fight. That's what they don't talk to our feelings. They just tell about getting some money when we dead, and we're gonna get some money when we die and all this, right? I tell them, hell with that there. I can take my chance on that hell you talking about. I don't want that. I mean that. So we need to get up off of that slave teacher. The preachers are the trained undercover slave teachers. That's all they really is. We might well face the fight. They ain't doing nothing but enriching their pocket, no more parasite. So that's just how it is. But they're gonna keep doing it till the chairman said till we stop them. I really am. They're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna have to stop white power, and we're gonna have to deal with them slave teachers. I don't like them no kind of way. I tell you right now, I talk about a preacher bad, and I don't care nothing about it. And I got a thing I tell guy either, I can drop dead on the street. They ain't got to take me to church. They take me straight to the damn cemetery because I don't need him. I show them too.
Uhuru. Yeah, I was one of the fellows was here at the time when the police came in here with the gas. We was here, it was a full house. People was outside around the building. And all of a sudden the gas came in through the window. We had windows over on this side at the time. And everybody was trying to get out. Like you said, we had babies, a lot of sisters and a lot of brothers was here. And that one of the real times that this community stood up for that tragedy at that time. You know, they just really stood up to help, to support the family. Pam, I remember you when you were a little girl, stayed across from my granddaddy. You know, your daddy real good, Joe, and your mom. Your daddy was a real good person. But I just wanted to come up and just share that with the community, and that was a time that we really stood up for this community, and we're still standing now with the family. Uhuru.
Uhuru. At the time, in '96, at the time of the rebellion, I was incarcerated, right? But I can remember exactly what happened to me. I'm talking about like plain as day. I was incarcerated, and I was supposed to be working. And I'm talking about some dudes just come knocking on the glass. They was knocking on the glass, and I looked, and they was like, come here, come here. So they said, man, you need to go to the dorm. I said, why you say that? They say, man, your city on fire. So I'm like, my city on fire? So the dude was like, you from St. Pete, right? I was like, yeah. He said, man, they killed a brother in St. Pete, and I'm gonna be real with you. Man, you need to leave out of here right now, because, man, your city on fire. So I'll never forget where I was at or what I was doing. As soon as I heard what was going on, I left out the dorm, and I came and I looked at the TV. And I'll never tell you how proud I was to be from St. Petersburg, Florida, and to be Marcus Waller, because I seen myself from a child. I was born in resistance in St. Petersburg. I resisted going to jail. I caught 2 assaults on police to go to jail. I was doing wrong, but I assaulted 2 of them. Y'all ain't gonna just take me. And when I seen that, the resistance, I'll just tell you, I did 10 years hard, but I did it with straight resistance from that, just from that. They had a problem. You could check my jacket. They never had nothing but problems for the straight 10 years. Out of me, just from 96. And I just want to tell the movement that I've seen it all my life. I ain't accept it, but I'll accept it in my life, because I knew it's only one way to freedom. Don't think I ain't never knew. I knew it's only one way to freedom, and being organized is the only way to do it. And I've been explaining that to people since I've been a little boy, and until I die, I'm going to explain to people that organization is the only way to be, because if you're not one man ain't going to beat an army. But a lot of men beat the army. Uhuru.
Uhuru, sisters and brothers and comrades. My name is Mtambwe. I want to just give just a brief rendition of my experience of the Battle of St. Pete. Well, just first to explain like the movement's significant role in my life. Coming in as a youngster, probably 10, 11 years old. And this is the reason why I can stand in front of you today and say anything, because I probably would have been one of your biggest dope dealers in prison for the rest of my life, but dead, you know. But it's this movement giving me the clarity and understanding what I needed to do to bring my family, my children, my wife, everybody into this organization, so we can, win our freedom. But that day when they attacked this building, I was one of them people who got late, because I was working at this group home in Cokie and the Key called Volunteers of America. And I heard the stuff was going down, and I loaded up some of the boys in the van and said, man, we got to get on over here because my people need me. So I took the kids from the job, they're in the van with me. We maneuvered through getting here, right? We had to fight through the police to get him. When we got here, we parked on the back road somewhere, and we came running through the yards and getting across fences and everything to get here. So we got here, I see the tree on fire in the back. So we were one of the ones with the community out there, trying to pull the branches out of the tree, and had water hose trying to put the fire. They kept shooting tear gas at us, but we wouldn't stop. And I swore like it was no help at this point because the police was like, really, they were overpowering. But looking to my right, and I seen these dudes, I swear these brothers like they was a military style. They was, look, they had bandanas and t-shirts on their face. I said, oh, the cavalry has arrived. They had arrived. And they had some big things. And all I know is the police ain't want to deal with it. It was over with from there. And that's how this building is standing right now. And the people here to even make this this type of testimony. Yeah.
Anybody else? Anything? Any questions?
Let me just.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I forgot. Can somebody remind me, what was the name of the chief of police? Can you remember his name? There's the chief of police. Because Darrell Stevens. Because what happened was the mayor had said he'd never meet with Omali Yeshitela. Never. And Clinton, this rebellion in St. Petersburg disturbed them so much that Clinton, who was then the president, sent a member of his cabinet into St. Petersburg. His name was Henry Cisneros, who was over housing, urban development, something like that. And he wanted to meet with me. And I said, I don't want to meet with him. And they actually begged and pleaded. And so I went to meet with this guy. And I told him, and he said, I want you to be on some kind of committee. I said, what do I want to be on the committee for? One day I'm standing up in here, and this guy's in the back, this African who we know, he's got on Bermuda shorts and flip-flops and a tank top, and he really shouldn't have had any of that on. I mean, he couldn't handle it. But the mayor had sent him because he wanted to meet with me, right? And they put me in this situation where I'm meeting with all of these guys, and every time I would be in the same room with Darrell Stevens, who was the chief of police, he would develop this nervous tick. I mean, it was really incredible. I mean, he had this nervous tick every time, because what had happened from his perspective, he was a general with an army that he put out here. And I was a general with an army that had to deal with them, and we crushed their butts. So, he never was able to get over that. I mean, he actually had a nervous tick. And it was off of this that made it necessary, because this community was united. And this movement was the leadership of this community without any questions at all. In fact, Channel 9 did a survey, a poll, that asked people, it was not a scientific poll, but asked people to vote for whom they thought was the most significant leader in the Tampa Bay area. And it blew their mind, because more than 90% of the people said Omali Yeshitela. They were saying that, and that was, so, but they wouldn't accept that, right? So they kept putting it up, they kept it up there forever. They had the Tampa Police Department, started having all the cops, vote for the chief of police in Tampa, et cetera. It was just an interesting kind of situation. We got a letter from Tanzania in East Africa saying, look, we see the rebellion, we got some land over here that you can use, They didn't know how to touch me. They sent it to a Negro writer for the St. Petersburg Times who gave me the letter, The thing is that this was like an incredible situation that happened in St. Petersburg, Florida. This rebellion, this resistance, it had political consciousness. It was unlike anything they had to deal with before. And that's one of the reasons why Clinton sent somebody in here, because they wanted to head it off so they wouldn't start spreading all over the country. And the people were deeply, deeply, deeply united. So much so, off of TyRon Lewis. TyRon Lewis is 96. When was the next execution? When did they? 2004. What's that? Something like 8 years later? Yeah, Marquell. And no, it wasn't Marquell, was it? And when they killed him, the people would come, and first of all, we had this little march down the street, and the people was coming out of the house saying, "It's on." That's what the young African was saying. It's on. It's on. They were not running from the police. They were running to confront the police. They were looking for their ability to fight the police. That's what was happening in this city from the working class. And what they've always been afraid of is that anytime it goes up, that this community will fight. And this community has always respected the leadership of the Uhuru movement. In fact, they will come and ask us, is it on? Is it on? Is it on? And one occasion, something went down. They said, we were looking for you. Why weren't you there? I said, look, you can't ever have a frontal assault on an army that's stronger than you, bigger than you are. They said, no, 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 no. They say, what we do is hook and move. They said, we hook and move, you understand? So they were using boxing terminology to talk about guerrilla warfare. And I saw it. I saw this community engage with the police. I saw the police unable to deal with them. They slide in the dark, right? When too many pigs are there and they catch one by himself, you see them come from every place, ambush the cops, etc. So this is the fighting community. And TyRon Lewis, the rebellion of 1996, set the standards for armed resistance in this city. And I think what was learned by this movement has been helpful too. In 1996, the consequence of that rebellion, we saw all forms of struggle utilized. Political, certain economics, military, every form of struggle happened in this city, and that was an incredible kind of event. So the unity was powerful. People would come out instantaneously. Right now, hard to get people to come to a meeting. Not during that period. Not during that period. People were rushing, trying to find the meeting, just like it was in Ferguson. When the people have identified the common enemy and have and understood this collectively, you don't have to worry too much about how many flyers you got out. So people looking for the meetings to come to in order to resist. And that's what we have to provide people an opportunity with. And TyRon Lewis, the resistance around TyRon Lewis was key to that development, certainly in this city. And what we learned from TyRon Lewis, we've been able to take to other cities throughout this country as well. Uhuru. Yeah, I just wanted to say that you ought to join the movement. And just like your parents and relatives and friends that you know on the job, they join the NAACP, they give the NAACP that money, and they don't necessarily go to the meetings, but they give the NAACP that money. And the NAACP take that membership money and will do all those Uncle Tom things with that NAACP, with that membership money. Give your money, join, become members of InPDUM. You ought to come to meetings, but if you can't come to meetings, send your money. And what you will have is this revolutionary organization will do revolutionary things with the resources that you provide to support your own movement, support your own struggle. Uhuru.
Uhuru. So are there any more questions, anything around discussion from anyone? Uhuru, well, I really want to appreciate everybody who came up, spoke, and shared their experiences. I was born 2 days before the murder of TyRon Lewis, so I wasn't Uhuru. So I couldn't be a part of it, but I felt it out of the womb. I felt it. My dad never let me not hear it. Uhuru. And I just, it says salute on here, so I just want to salute comrade and father Ntambwe for just being a part of this movement, introduced me to this movement, and just being out there fighting for African people that night, putting your life on the line. Uhuru. Uhuru. Okay. Well, we are near the end of our program. Oh, how are we doing the money? Oh, Liu, can you count the resources? You know how much? Okay. Uhuru. Uhuru. So we raised $107. Clap it up. Clap it up. That is 93 off our goal. So, Comrade Liu, I'm going to pass the basket around one more time. Oh, and I did not say for, yes, hand. Uhuru. $93 from the gentleman in the corner. And what's your name? Uhuru. Mike Jones. Thank you, Comrade. Uhuru. Thank you. So we have reached our goal, $200 tonight. Woohoo! Uhuru. Okay. Oh, also, this is, online. You can also donate at InPDUM.org. There's a big red donate button. Just say Sunday Rally in the comment. We'll take any donations for all those viewers online. We want you to participate as much as you can. So go ahead and click that button. But now, if there's anything else, we have come to the end of our program. And this is the time where we, yes? Oh, okay, all right. Where we have a couple of announcements. We have a couple of local events happening within these next coming weeks. Tomorrow in particular, keep your program because it has the information for tomorrow on there. Except in the morning at 10:30 a.m., we will be having a press conference around the street sign where TyRon Lewis Jr. will also be present. And so we're going to be meeting at the corner of 16th Street and 18th Avenue South. We'll be meeting here at 10 a.m. and going over there at 10:30 a.m. And at 7 p.m. tomorrow will be the vigil and the official placing of the street sign, street naming ceremony. We're going to be rallying here at 6:30 p.m. and marching with candles down to the corner of 16th and 18th Ave, which will be known as TyRon Lewis Avenue once we leave tomorrow night. Uhuru. All right, so I also want to open it up for my comrades. I know we have a couple of events coming up, so come on, Uhuru.
Uhuru. My name is Kafinsi. I manage at the TyRon Lewis Community Gym, and I'm proud to be so. We are putting on a Halloween event on the 31st of October. That's a Monday. So everybody bring the kids, cousins, nephews. Everybody is welcome to come. It's a free event. We're gonna have a lot of fun, safe place for the kids to do the trick-or-treating. I talk all the time about the ills and the evils of candy, so it's not gonna be that easy to get candy from us. We're gonna have exercise for candy for the kids. They're gonna have to work that sugar off before they get home, and you gotta deal with them all night long off of that sugar. So please come out to the event. It's gonna be a fantastic one, it always is, and bring the children out. Uhuru.
Uhuru. So InPDUM has an economic development piece that is called Uzi, which Uzi is a Swahili word that means the thread of freedom. And so what we do is we have custom costumes right now. Like we do custom jackets, custom jeans, and we specialize in, what's the word? Vintage, I'm sorry, vintage pieces, very nice vintage pieces. So we have custom costumes right now, and we are having a great blowout sale. You cannot miss it. You can get a costume as low as $5 today. So you don't want to miss your opportunity to get your costume for the festival that they're going to be having on the 31st. So come to, and you supporting the revolution. So this is a great deal. And we have other pieces too. So if you like, I'm not going to be doing Halloween, but we still got nice things for you to stop by at the Uzi table and check us out. Again, you can find out more about Uzi on Facebook. It's UZI, a thread of freedom. You can send your old pieces, them pair of jeans that you just don't want to let go, but you're tired of wearing them. You can send them to us. We twist them up and do some really nice things to it, or we can do jackets with African patches or whatever you like. So check us out, find out more about Uzi and how to support, because we know the economic and revolution is one. Uhuru. No, not right now, but we want to. So if you support it, we can buy these machines. So that's another reason why you go to the table and support so we can buy machines to work with. I have a lot of leather. And so that is something that I went to school for fashion. So leather is you need a three needle machine to work with leather. And that's something that I do want to invest in. So please support us, Uhuru.
And for all y'all who gotta come to Halloween, the Uhuru Halloween Haunted Nights, you have to have a costume. So you got $5 costumes. So make your way over to the Uzi table and buy your $5 costume. Uhuru. Gazi? All right.
Uhuru. My name is Gazi Kodzo, and I'm the Director of Recruitment and Membership for the African People's Socialist Party, and I'm having a bad hair day. Uhuru. So I'm here to make two announcements. These are the struggles of going natural, but I'm making two announcements today. The first announcement is the InPDUM Nights, which the Uhuru InPDUM Nights, which we will be having our next one on Wednesday, the 2nd. And on Wednesday, November 2nd, we meet here at 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it's a time because we made this event because we always have people coming up to us. Well, I want to get involved in this and I want to get involved in that. And how do I learn more? And how do I, start to become a part of the Uhuru movement and advance all these great projects and institutions like the gym or like InPDUM or the Burning Spear newspaper or Black Power 96 and like Uhuru Tours, Uhuru Food and Pies, and et cetera, and et cetera. We have a lot. And because we're serious about freedom. So we created the InPDUM Nights, Orientation Nights, which is every other Wednesday. The next one we're having is the 2nd of November at 6:30, where all of the institutions, we line them up in round tables. Everybody who is a leadership comes up and tells you about the work that we do. You see videos and pictures, and you get to get involved. You get to sign up, and at that same night, you get to actually be a part of a meeting and see how you best fit and what you'll be doing for the next couple of weeks and working to advance those projects. So please come out. Make sure to put it in your calendar on your iPhone or Android app to remind you to come here on November 2nd at 6:30 p.m. so you can get involved. Uhuru? All right, so I'm gonna see y'all there, right? Uhuru? All right, and the next announcement I have to make is I have been put in charge of raising the resources to get Africans from Florida to the Black People's Convention for November 5th and 6th in DC. We've had a lot of African people coming up to us telling us they want to go, but they don't have the resources. They don't have the money to get there. And we said that that cannot be an issue. We can't let money be an issue of Black people not taking Black power. Uhuru? So we are raising resources. We opened up a GoFundMe. You can go to gofundme.com/Florida Vote Black Power. Florida Vote Black Power. And we are saying that we are going to vote for Black Power. We're not voting for, the Republicans, the Democrats. We're going to vote for Black Power. We're going to vote for African people, Black people taking self-determination in our own hands, power into our own hands, and building for ourselves. So we are going to go November 5th and 6th to the Black People's Convention. And I just want to say this is so important because white people had their convention for Donald Trump, they had it for Hillary Clinton, and they had us on the chopping block, not their agenda, but what they were going to do to us to forward and advance their agendas, right? And we're saying it's time for us to have our own convention. And as an African who loves history, I'm tired of reading about this stuff in the history books. I'm tired of reading about what Marcus Garvey did in the history books. I want to see it now. I want to see thousands of African people now, Uhuru, in November 5th and 6th, come together. So we need to raise these resources so we can get African people there. Our goal is $3,500. We've raised almost $1,000 already. So Uhuru, $1,000 in 3 days. So we gonna get there, but we need y'all's help. We need to keep raising those resources. Alienza is at the back. Can you raise your hand, Alienza? If you are interested in joining and coming on the ride, please contact that sister. Was that the answer to your question, brother? What was your question? Mm, 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 mhm, mhm. Well, we want to create our own ballot and our own system to rise up. We don't even want that to be an option for them. It's an option. We already taken it. So when we go on the bus, that's us saying we voting for Black Power. When we come together and organize, that's us saying voting for Black Power. Because to vote for Black Power is going to take more than signing something or pushing a hole. We got to do a lot more than that because we built it over here. Uhuru? Uhuru? It's not going to be easy to vote for Black Power. It's not. You gotta sign up, you gotta get on the bus, you gotta come here, you gotta come to the convention November 5th and 6th and see what's on our 19 points to forward and advance the agenda, because they don't have Black community control of the police on their agenda. They don't have that on the ballot. We got that and we organized them for that. They don't have nothing to protect and advance African women in the community. We have that. And that's what we're gonna meet on and create, because Marcus Garvey didn't tell African people to write their name on the white man's ballot. He said, this is what we gonna do for ourselves to advance our people, right? And you either lay down or get down. Uhuru? That's what Black Power looks like. Uhuru. So November 5th and 6th, hit up this sister right here if you wanna come along. Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrades. Well, I was gonna make a similar announcement, but that's unnecessary now. Thank you, Gazi. But I did want to let everyone know that on our way to DC, we'll be making 5 stops. One in Orlando, one in Jacksonville, one in Savannah, Myrtle Beach, and God dang it, I just had it. In Richmond, Virginia, on our way to DC. So if you're watching or if you're in here, my number is, well, you can reach me at 727-490-9554. But yeah, that's it. Also, I want to let everyone know that the October issue of the Burning Spear is here, and the November issue of the Burning Spear will be here very soon. So please, if you would like to order your bundle, or if you would like to subscribe to the Burning Spear, please let me know. You can reach me at that same number, or you can order online at burningspearmarketplace.com. All right. Uhuru.
Uhuru, you gotta start telling people to bring calendars to these events so you guys can fill out your own personal agendas. Because we got a lot of things going on, but we need you to be a part of all of them. Want to bring up Daesoon for Black Power 96? Uhuru.
Uhuru. My name is Daesoon True. I'm the station manager of Black Power 96 Radio. I didn't have a formal announcement to make, but I want to encourage anybody in the audience, if you would like to get involved with Black Power 96, you can come meet me at the table in the back. You can sign up to bring your skills to the radio station, or you can go online and donate to help build this radio station. You can do so at blackpower96.org. Again, that's if you want to get involved. You can be anything you want in this radio station. I'm living proof of that. So again, if anybody in this audience would like to get involved with Black Power 96, you can come meet me at the table in the back and sign up and find out more information about that. Uhuru.
All right, comrades, I'm sorry, we are almost done. We got one more announcement on behalf of the 3 Drowned Black Girls campaign, and Comrade Lee is gonna go ahead and make that announcement. Uhuru.
Uhuru. So 6 months ago, 3 teenage girls who were 15 and 16 years old were chased into a pond and murdered by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department. One of them went to my school, and all 3 of them were greatly known in this community. And ever since the murder of those 3 girls, the Uhuru movement has taken up the responsibility to fight for these girls because they were slandered so much in the media and just the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department just really criminalized these girls to try to justify their murders. So what the Uhuru movement has done has began to change the narrative about these girls into the community and really work to uplift the names of Dominique, Ashanti, and Lanaya. So if we now are doing outreach around this case and giving the truth out to the community and really pushing who these girls were and what really happened that night, and really just refuting all the lies of that whole entire case. So the theme of this month was October Uprising, in light of TyRon Lewis and in light of the resistance that the African community shows when we're murdered by the police. So I'm just up here to say that if you would like to be a part of that outreach, and if you're local, you can come to us on Wednesdays, come to the NTU meetings, or you can become a propaganda distributor. And if you're a propaganda distributor, you will get a kit with all the different propaganda and materials we have to give out into the community. And if you don't live locally, you can go to Justice, 3G, Justice for the 3 John Black Girls, or Justice 3GB, InPDUM.org. So if you're interested in becoming a distributor, that's where you can go. Uhuru. Also, sorry. Also, I wanted to say that this weekend also marks the 20-year anniversary of TyRon Lewis's murder, but this weekend was also the weekend that 2 revolutionaries were born. And we are very excited to wish Columbai and Akile a very happy birthday. So everyone, if you could just say happy birthday to Akile Anai and Columbai. It was their birthdays this weekend. And, ooh, we got the candles. Yeah, so if everyone could just give a big revolutionary happy birthday to Columbai and Akila, and if y'all could come up to the front, Uhuru. Somebody special had something to say about his wonderful girlfriend turning 20 this weekend, Uhuru. If everyone could welcome Jawara Brown up, Uhuru. Uhuru.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday! I'm on the spot. But I'm glad you get to spend your birthday with me.
What?
I'm glad you get to spend your...
Yeah, all right. Sorry.
You good?
Yeah.
Awkward?
Yeah.
Awkward, so I'm passing back.
Sorry. Thank you, Uhuru. Okay. Thank you. I really thank you guys for this. Can you come up, please? This is my rock.
Uhuru, I'm surprised. Thank you, everybody. And this is a great, awesome month. Chairman Amali Yeshitela was born this month, and Deputy Chair Una was born this month as well. So this is a month of revolutionaries.
Libras are leaders.
And Nat Turner was a Libra too, that led a great rebellion. So Libras are leaders. Uhuru. Thank you.
Thank you for this celebration, and I'm honored to be able to celebrate it with my community and my family. My family is my community. And just with this movement, I'm very appreciative to be in the presence of such great leaders. And just in 20 more years, I hope to be doing the same thing, but just even better at what I do. And hopefully in 20 years, we'll be free. But, you know, if not, I'm still fighting. Uhuru.
I wanted to just join everybody in expressing congratulations for having survived another year. As an African, that's a serious issue, having birthdays, as we know. I mean, we're here on the 20th anniversary of the execution of TyRon Lewis. We saw 12-year-old Tamir Rice get murdered by the police in Cleveland. He was only 12. So it's really, this birthday thing is a really important thing to our community. It's really important. And to have people who are in the movement being able to have this and have it with the community. I think Kunde, isn't Kunde Mwamvitas? It's not, it was a rumor. Oh, lies, lies, all lies. Okay. But I just think it's really important. I also think it's important to have a movement where people don't have to leave the movement in order to celebrate something like this. You can do it inside the movement, and the movement, you know, just expresses our unity with you and with the fact that you're alive, that you're struggling, that you're on the right side of history. So I wanted to do that. Just say happy birthday, and you know, the everyday you live and resist is a problem for imperialism. Yes. And that's the thing, that it's a problem for them. And that's one of the reasons they kill us so frequently, because a live thinking African person is a problem for the system of oppression. So wanted to say that. I also wanted to use this time just to say that this issue of economic development and our community taking care of ourselves, the reason TyRon Lewis Gym was put in the African community is because we feel like we shouldn't have to leave our community to do something for ourselves. Have a fitness center. Why do you have to go to the white community to go to the gym? Why do you have to go to the Y, you know, should be called a white MCA to go to the, go to the gym? So we create this in our own community because we think it's important for the community to be able to serve its own interests. But the fact is that gym now is something like 22, 24 years old. Started right here, as I mentioned, and now it's there. But we've subsidized that gym. That gym hasn't paid for itself. It's our contribution to the community that's kept that gym open so that this institution could be accessible to African people, because this question of health and fitness is really important to us. We create tremendous, we have a history and a kind of athletic lifestyle, but we don't have a fitness lifestyle. And to be fit, to be in shape and what have you, to be well is really a critical question. That's why it's there for our community. But we've subsidized it and we don't have that kind of money. We really don't. And so we're in trouble with the gym. That's just a frank statement. We're in trouble with the gym. And that gym cannot last like this. So that I think it's an important institution for our community and what have you, but it's going to have to be supported by the people in the community for it to stay open and for people in our own movement. I also wanted to say that I do think it's important for everybody. Is there anybody in this room who does not understand that we are Africans? I mean, say it if you don't get it. Because if you think we're something else, I really need an explanation how we can be Africans when we first got on the ship in Africa, and then something else once we got off here. But we are Africans. We think it's really important for us to recognize and acknowledge that. And finally, there is an election that's coming up on the 8th of November. And there is a white man, his name is James McLinus, who's running for sheriff against Bloody Bob, Killer Bob Galtiera, who murdered those 3 girls, whose sheriff department murdered those 3 girls. And McLinus has been somebody who has pumped information and evidence to us and has tried to support the case that around justice for those 3 girls. I'm going to go and vote. I haven't voted for a while, but I'm going to go and vote over at Wildwood Park on November 8th. And I'm going to vote for James McLinus. And I'm going to do this as the only person I'm voting for is James McLinus. And I'm voting for him because it's my vote against Galtiera. I just think it's important for our community to make some kind of statement against that guy. We're going to be engaged in a real serious, full-blown struggle against the Pinellas County Sheriff Department and Galtiera. And I'm just calling on everybody here who has the capacity to vote in this county to vote for sheriff and to vote for McLinus, to vote against Galtiera. We have to make a statement. Because if you have an opportunity to make a statement and there's somebody who's killing you and you don't say anything about it, that's problematic as hell. Let's make a statement against this guy. Let's say that there is a sector of the population in Pinellas County who knows who this guy is and that we stand in total opposition to him. So I just wanted to say that and to express again my real appreciation for your having survived another year to fight this monster, to fight McLinus, to fight James Knight, to fight rather Galtiera, to fight James Knight and all the killers and murderers, the whole social system that steps on black people with impunity, that humiliates us on a daily basis, that makes your mama scared, your relatives scared when they know that you come into a meeting at the Uhuru House. You talk about Halloween, just go say Uhuru, that's a boo, you know, for a lot of Negroes, right? So we want to live differently and without fear, and want to be able to take care of ourselves and live in dignity. That's what this movement is about, and that's what your surviving another year contributes to. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank TyRon Lewis, and I want to thank TyRon Lewis Jr., and I want to thank your family for being there and for continuing the struggle, not just for TyRon, but because TyRon has been there when we've talked about Marquel McCullough and other persons who've been murdered. She's one of the first persons to come out and speak against that kind of brutality. Thank you so much. Uhuru. The radio station is not a small thing. Daeshun came up and mentioned it. We are now at a place where we've got the license. The radio studio is right there. We're still putting equipment in it, but that's not the big problem. And we've just got an extension for the height of the antenna. Initially, it was a 36-foot antenna. Now it's 45. We've got a permit to go 45 feet with the antenna, which means that the range of the station is now greater than it would have been ordinarily. So that's going to take a little more time just to do that. The other thing is that every time they try to dig a hole to put the foundation for the antenna, they run into plumbing and other kind of stuff like that. So we got to solve that problem. But believe me that the radio station, we'll be flipping the switch in just a few weeks, just a couple of weeks. And the only thing that's delayed is getting over these technical problems. We're going to be on the air, which means y'all going to be on the air. And it's something that everybody here has to support and promote. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Okay. I want to go ahead and close this out. We have kept you all long enough. I want to appreciate everything that's been said today. Again, I want to express my appreciation to the family of TyRon Lewis Jr., TyRon Lewis, and don't forget about the vigil and street naming ceremony tomorrow at 7 p.m. and the press conference tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. And thank you, everyone who came out to this historic event, for all those who are viewing online, everybody who was constantly here to get their daily dose of political education at the Sunday rallies. Thank you guys so much for your support. And before y'all leave, I know I've kept y'all long, but before y'all leave, we do have our flag, the African flag, up, waving high, and we need to pull it down. So we need all the assistance of you guys to help fold the flag. And then we have delicious karamu prepared by our karamu team, Erica, Takaya, so, and Eric was back there too, I saw him whipping it. So, you know, yes, karamu is feast. Yes, it means feast. So then we have a delicious dinner prepared for y'all, but not till you bring down the flag. Thank you guys again so much, and Uhuru.